For those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Andrew. I've been doing this Our Healing Choices program, co-facilitating it with whoever shows up to contribute for over 2 years now. It's a place where we all come to share what we know about a different health or wellness topic, and or just kick back and listen in and learn something maybe we didn't know. So everybody has the floor, and we all get to lift each other up. So without further ado, we've got week 134. Topic of the week is personal accountability. I didn't have too much talking points here, so first one, of course, is what does personal accountability mean? We'll maybe talk about the 3 fingers pointing back at us always when we point at others. How not making a choice is still a choice. The concept of what we allow is what will continue. And the last that I came up with, and looking forward to your insights into this, everyone. And the last one was taking responsibility and being accountable for the direction of our lives. So jump in if anything piqued your interest, or you just have some thoughts, jump on in.
Okay. Not to step on any toes here, but if we don't make any decisions, how can we be held accountable for them?
Anyone want to grapple with that one? Good question.
Well, I think we're responsible for not making a choice. When we don't make a choice, then what? We leave it in the hands of what? Fate, other people, circumstances. So, I mean, we got to be responsible for that, right? If not us, then who? I mean, it's our choice to not make a choice. There's a quote, and it's also in a Rush song. If we choose not to decide, we still have made a choice. I'm sure some of you have heard of that. Good song, by the way. Neil Peart has written some amazing lyrics for that band. But yeah, ultimately we're responsible for that.
Okay, also another quick question here. Probably not on topic, but what in the world is Our Healing Choices about? I don't get the name of the topic.
The program is basically the title of the program, Our Healing Choices, right? So if you break it down, our choices, meaning, you know, the choices we make in life, right? But our healing choices, what choices are we making in our lives is actually improving our lives or improving our health. More often than not, it's improving our health as well, you know, because it kind of goes hand in hand. How do you have a more vital life if you don't have good health? You know, it's harder. So it's about that, and we just, you know, share, discuss a different health or wellness topic each week, and kind of dig in, you know, and get real and get authentic and as best we can about the topic. And hopefully someone's going to learn something, including ourselves, hopefully, right? It's bound to happen, I think. But yeah, what was it, the thing that you had mentioned? I'm drawing a blank, but I'll get back to you on that one.
Yeah, it's about making better choices, empowering ourselves. And that's the topic of, or sorry, the title of the program. Not the topic. The topic changes each week. And today's topic is personal accountability.
Yeah, how not making a choice is still a choice. I mean, really, you're responsible for the outcome of not making a choice. If you choose to just not commit to something, something's about to happen and you know what, you're like, you know what, I'm just not going to deal with it. Well, guess what? You just made a choice and you're going to have to deal with the repercussions of walking away. So no matter what, in essence, no matter what, you're still having to deal with the whatever fallout of walking away from or turning away from having to make a choice. Because 9 times out of 10, we do have to make a choice. Yeah.
So what if you make a good choice to better your life or to better the lives of others, and then there's an obstacle there, another person who makes a wrong choice, and all your attempts have failed? What does that mean?
It means you don't give up. Not being attached to the outcome of your decisions is a very, very powerful thing. You give 100%, 110%, you give your all, and then at some point you've got to let go and not be attached to what actually happens. It's going to be what it's going to be. In other words, it's out of your hands at a certain point. And you can always make a new choice, to correct things. The ship is veering off course, get on the helm and turn it back.
That's interesting. Okay.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah, you pretty much took my thoughts there. I mean, there's always going to be external influences, and that's the word I was thinking. There's going to be circumstances. There's going to be things that are often out of your control. But like Andrew said, just give it your best. Give it 100%, and try. Sometimes try again. Sometimes try again. But sometimes it's just not going to work out, and in some cases you got to just let go, like you said. Anyway, if anyone would like to be trusted into Ring of Fire, we do have some rules we'd like you to get familiar with first. So if you haven't read them, click the upper left image below the Z, scroll down, read through them, let one of the moderators know that you've read them, and if you agree to follow them.
I found a really good article thing on the internet called "What is Personal Accountability?" It's on a website called habitsforwellbeing.com. Anyway, there's a good quote. It says, "In many ways, the following quote by William H. Murray sums up personal accountability." And I've read this quote before. It's pretty good. It says, "Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideals and splendid plans, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising all manner of and meetings and material assistance, which no man could have dreamed would come his way. Whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now."
Okay, so within that quote, in between the lines there, he's basically saying that we're retreating because we're what cowards?
What it do, Ring of Fire? What's going on, everybody?
What's up, Anthony? How you doing, brother? We're just having a program here one we have every week here in the Ring of Fire. We're talking about personal accountability. Basically taking control of your life and not pointing the finger at others that it's their fault for your situation.
I don't know why anybody would blame somebody else for this situation, because I don't, you know, but yeah.
I think every day we make choices in life, whether they're right or wrong. All we have to do is learn from them if they are wrong. That's the way I figure.
I see it happen all the time. People, if they're not blaming others, they're blaming some circumstances, and just not being accountable for what they do. And a lot of times, you know, you see people that you know, they've done something wrong, and I don't mean a mistake, but you know, something morally wrong. They've disappointed you, they let you down, they did something that wasn't whatever it was. Maybe they flaked out on you, whatever it might be. And then, you know, when you approach these people, they they get defensive, and then they try to turn it around and make a completely guiltless party, the guilty party in it. And you know, that's worse than just making excuses, trying to turn it around and deflect it and stick it on somebody else who's completely blameless. It happens far too much, and there just doesn't seem to be much honor and integrity in people anymore these days. It's such a major lack of responsibility.
This article goes on to say, I believe personal accountability is an ongoing habitual commitment to yourself and what is important to you through continually choosing consciously to take ownership and responsibility for your life, taking action and removing the blocks, i.e. faulty thinking or excuses, and thirdly, holding yourself accountable first and foremost. I actually didn't read through this whole article, but the first part I was like, wow, this is good. I got to save this. I knew the rest of it's going to be pretty good, so I just saved it. It's not too long. I might get through it by the end of the program, but it's not it's just good. Deep. Good stuff. Any other thoughts on personal accountability, how it shows up in your life, that kind of thing?
Not here.
Yeah, my life is pretty much held accountable. I'm a prisoner of our government.
I've got a really lame excuse from my experience that someone gave me who was trying to skirt around accountability. I got stood up, and I had to text the fellow when I met him, or when I went to meet him at this place. And I texted him, wondering what is he going to show up? Is he late? Am I going to hear from him? He texted me back, and rather than an apology or the truth as to why he didn't show up, he put the blame on me, when I'm the one that accepted to meet him there, said I would meet him there, and did indeed meet him there. He went on to make it as if it was my fault because, one, he thought I was going to change my mind, and two, because I was an American woman, and American women change their minds fast. Pretty crappy, huh?
Indeed.
Yeah, that is crappy. Yeah, that happens. It's happened to me too, but a year ago, almost the same thing.
It's just amazing how quick people can turn their backs on you.
Indeed. Sad.
Yeah, it's never their fault. It's always our fault. And then when you go there and you wait an hour, an hour and a half, they don't show up. And then once you leave, they say, yeah, I showed up 10 minutes after you left. So it's our fault.
Yeah. And by the way, I did mention that he said American women, so because he's not from America. He was also Greek like you, but I'm not trying to. I'm not implying anything.
Okay. I hope it's not, because this Greek is a nice guy. I would never stood you up, Cheryl. Never.
I had an experience where I was doing electrical work at a military base called Fort McPherson, and I was working with two guys that were over me. We had a job foreman, which of course that's the foreman from the military itself, and the guys that I worked with would show up 30 minutes late, sometimes an hour late every single day. Well, I was just a groundsman, so I basically fetched all the parts and helped them mount and run cable and various devices like thermostats, things of that nature. Well, one morning I decided, well, these guys keep coming in late and I'm getting in trouble by the job foreman. And he tells me I need to be working if I'm on site. Well, I was told by my higher ups that I can't do anything till they get there. So I started to come in 30 minutes late because I saw a pattern. Well, these guys decided to come into work on time one day, and then next thing you know, I got my boss man calling me back from the office. He says, you need to come in and talk to me and explain to me why you were late. So I get there and I have a seat in his office and he fires me. And I told him, well, your boy's here.
Okay, I mean, since Serenity told her little story about the guy standing her up and not taking accountability or whatever, I'm just only going to make this quick. I was with a guy, got pregnant. He left me, told me the baby wasn't his. Maybe 7.5, 8 months later, I'm laying in the hospital with 40 stitches across my stomach because I just had to have an emergency C-section where my daughter was ripped out of my body and lived only 30 minutes. And then she passed away. Then this dude who said the baby wasn't his is going to call me and say, well, me and my wife want to come to my daughter's funeral. And I'm like, no, dude, she's not your daughter. I mean, now you want to call her your daughter because you don't have to pay child support. Anything else, you don't have to help me with this baby. You need to stay away, you and your wife. I never seen them.
Yeah, but I got fired because I was always on time. And the only reason I came in late was I didn't want to get our company in trouble and get fired, that we lose our contract. So I suffered a penalty due to their ignorance. End of story.
That's kind of crazy. So let's look at Rupert's situation and Michelle's situation. Sorry, I'm eating some watermelon. Let's look at their situations and look at how the three fingers pointing back at them could have changed things. Meaning, instead of saying it's your fault for whatever happened, how did there's three fingers pointing back. There's more than one finger pointing back at us always when we're pointing the finger at others. So maybe we can help understand that, why that happened and where they might have dropped the ball, you know. Not to single you guys out, but maybe we can all learn something from this.
Darn it, Andrew. Just as I was going to hit the trust button, you hit it, and as my finger was going down on it, it turned into a bounce button. At least it doesn't turn into block buttons anymore. But, okay, let's see if she came back. Yes, hi. I don't know if you heard that, but that was kind of wonky that way. Welcome. Anyway, Agent Snake, welcome. I do apologize. When two moderators go to click a trust button at the same time, whoever clicks it second, it ends up being a bounce button before they even see it says the word bounce.
I promise I didn't trust anybody, not recently, just at the beginning of the program. Rupert, I'm thinking that when you decided to come in late, regardless of whether the other guys were coming in late or not, you know, it still falls on what happened to you. Essentially, would then fall on you, regardless of what the actions of the other two guys, the other guys that were showing up late, regardless of their actions, you made a choice to come in late, assuming maybe that you could, because they are, you know, and the fact that you got fired and let go with all your responsibility or you had to be accountable for yourself, not them. I don't know. Does anyone else have a better way of describing this? It's like just because they did it doesn't mean that you can too, or something.
Well, if every day for days and days and days he'd be coming in and sitting around for half an hour waiting for this guy and couldn't do anything until he got there, I mean, I can understand why he did that. But he was scheduled to be there at a certain time. Ultimately, he did make the decision. But I know he wouldn't have if it wasn't for that guy. So, I mean, it's a really sucky situation. And I think based on that, your boss should have given you a second opportunity. It's a really sucky thing. What happened to the other guy? Did he just happen to show up on time the day the boss comes in?
Yeah, the two people that were over me, they were always, I try to tell my boss man about them, and their ignorance to be there on time, because I follow it by the book. I mean, I was excited to have a job, and I was there always on time, if not early. But they'd also take 30-minute smoke breaks. My company tested me, actually. I had a big job in Atlanta. I mean, for me, for one man, it was a big job. It was like a 5-story building. I had to run all this wire through this building for thermostats and get it ran to the air handler units down to the board. And I completed that entire job in 1.5 weeks' time. Now, the job prior to that, it was like an 8-story building in Atlanta. And it was me and the two other guys that were working it. And it took over 2 months.
Don't tell me this is like the only day you came in late. The one day you happened to do it because these other guys were always late, or guy. That one day your boss comes in. Or did you already do this once or twice?
But why would you do it if you know that the boss would do something? Why would you be being late deliberately?
wouldn't think that the boss would do anything, because you would assume that the boss knows that the other people are regularly late, you know, unless those other people were like the sons of the boss. You'd think that you could do it too. I mean, in a way, yeah, he was almost justified in doing it, but the reality of it is that he's supposed to be there at a certain time, and you know that stands true regardless.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing right there. Is I tried to talk to the boss man about it. He didn't acknowledge that at all. You know, he didn't have much to say. He got on a different topic. But when I was reprimanded by the job foreman on this military base, I figured, well, I might as well come in when they come in too, or we're going to lose the entire job. And I don't know the outcome of that fully, what would have took place. But I figured, well, okay, let's have some vigilance then. Let's try to get on the same page, if anything. But those guys wanted me gone because I embarrassed them when my boss man gave me a job with 5 stories in a building in Atlanta, and I pulled it off in a week and a half and did a fine job. And because the prior job we had was 8 stories and it took over 2 months. So I think that was just an attempt to get me out of the group I worked with, and ultimately dismissed from working for my company. So
Part of me feels like we can only be responsible for our choices, not the choices of others. You know, we got to take care of ourselves. You know, we're accountable to ourselves and only ourselves, not others, in a way. So, yeah.
no, but that's not right. You can make good choices, though. You can make really good choices in life, but because there's other people connected to your life, they can make one bad choice, and it doesn't matter how honest you were or how good of a person you are, what kind of heart you have to contribute to society and your family. You know, it can take one person to disrupt that. So, talking about accountability, it's kind of one-sided in a sense.
I just wanted to say hi. I'm kind of new here, and what kind of topic are we talking about? Because I don't know what kind of topic y'all talking about. Sorry.
We do this program every week. Tonight's topic, and it does change each week, is personal accountability. Anyway, yeah, I realized you were influenced by that guy or people. Ultimately, the decision is yours. You were told to be there at a certain time. That was your scheduled time every day. It's especially wrong if you're being paid from that moment forward. Shouldn't be jumping off a building because other people are. That's it. To sum it up, ultimately, you are responsible for that choice. And I'm sorry, it's kind of a sucky situation, but you were told to be there at a certain time.
So you're saying about hurting yourself, but not like a bad way or anything. Just like, you know.
We're not talking about hurting yourself. We're talking about personal accountability, and we're just exploring different aspects of it. We may be on one aspect of it now, but we will surely move on. But this particular aspect isn't really about hurting yourself.
My bad. I wasn't thinking straight. But personal accountable, accountants, as you said, what does that even mean?
Oh, just taking responsibility for one's actions, I believe. You know, they should say no one should be above accountability, you know. To basically, if they break the rules, they'll be punished. You know, they can't just get away with whatever they want.
Yeah, being responsible and accountable for the things you say and do, or don't say sometimes. Not casting blame or making excuses, but being responsible and actually taking responsibility for what you decide to do, or in some cases, as we mentioned, what you decide not to do, or if you don't decide to do something at all. Because even when you choose not to decide, you've still made a choice.
Yeah, I am very responsible. I'm not that type of a mean person or anything. I do what my parents told me to do.
How's that?
Well, I want to say this, and I'm going to be gone. I got to charge my phone. The dude that said he would never leave me, thank you for that. But I'm with somebody, and he's never going to leave me. Believe me. But yeah, I'm like done and over with that guy, and that left me and the baby. But he moved on, and so did I. But that's his choice, and he has to live with that every day. That he wasn't there to say his last goodbyes to his baby because it was his own fault, not mine. I didn't make him walk out. He done it on his own. So, but yeah, I'm good now. It's all good.
So Michelle shouldn't have to suffer for the choice that he made to not be there in that moment for her, for the baby. She shouldn't have to be held accountable or responsible for that choice he made. She shouldn't take it on herself, is basically it. At least I think so. I don't know. Everybody has their own opinion. Thanks for sharing, Michelle. Have a great night if your phone dies, and thanks for showing up.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. That's, for a long time, I did think it was my fault because I was thinking I did something wrong to make him leave me. But the other woman came in between us, and I didn't know that the whole time him and I were together, that he was actually sleeping with her too. I didn't know that. But yeah, for a long time I did blame myself. I was like, okay, did I do something wrong? I mean, I did everything for this man. When he come home from work, I took his shoes off. I brushed his long hair that he had. I put out his clothes. I started his shower. I did cleaned everything for this man. I worked too, but I still done everything. I was thinking, did I not do enough? Did I do too much? So, but it's okay. But I'm going to be listening for a while, so for a few minutes. But I'll be here.
What up, y'all? What's up, everybody?
Hey, Miss Amanda. Hope you're having a good night. I don't know if anybody else heard that, but it sounds like your volume's really too high. Either your microphone gain is high, or you're talking too close to the mic. So we can hear you better, so it's not so scratchy. Maybe stand away or step away from the mic, move the phone away from your mouth a little bit more, or turn your gain down if you could, please. Thanks.
Is it there now?
Yeah, a little bit better. That should work. Thanks. Anybody else noticed that? A little bit of an improvement? All right, maybe we could bring up, I'm going to jump around here a little bit. There's this quote that I found. I don't know if it's a quote, it's a meme that I found a while back that I've had up in my room for quite a while. And I posted it in the channel and as one of the topics in the program, as one of the topics we could talk about. And it happened to be bundled up with this one. And I kind of think I know why. Maybe you will too. But anyway, it goes like this. It says, what we allow is what will continue.
Yeah, and that's been mentioned many times throughout the program during many different topics. But we actually haven't chosen it as a topic yet. But I think a couple of weeks ago, or very recently, it was brought up to the top. I believe that I had suggested it. But yeah, this one's pretty closely related, so we could touch on that as well.
Anybody have any questions about what that means? What we allow is what will continue?
Yeah, just because somebody's, more important in the country or the tribe or the government, walking around with armed guards doesn't mean they should be able to, get away with multiple crimes and then, we can't touch them. It's kind of crazy.
And that's one way of putting it. If we allow, bad people to do what they do, that's what's going to continue. Like if we don't, not to say we should all be activists, but I mean, that's the outside world as far as how other people show up in the world. But what about for ourselves? For our situation in life, what's happening in our life? I'm thinking it could also be related to, if we're allowing the same thing to happen, life to be as it is, then that's what's going to continue until we stop allowing our life or our choices to be the same as they've always been.
What up, Hope?
What's up, Owen? How you doing tonight, brother? What's happening? Jumps right into a program here on the Ring of Fire. It's Our Healing Choices. The topic is personal accountability. Maybe you have some thoughts on that. Personal responsibility, personal accountability, that kind of stuff.
How do you know me again? I don't think I met you before.
Yeah, well, we're going to find out this accountability thing is going to have a much clearer definition when this world hits you in the face like a ton of bricks, and then we're going to see what was separated and what was right and wrong then. So fasten your seat belts if you got them, because it's going to get nasty.
Have you guys heard the speech that killed Kennedy, where he talks about secret societies, and he talks about how the Athenian lawmaker Solon said that no man should rise up above controversy, and then all that kind of stuff a week before they shot him?
Good evening. How's everybody doing here on the Ring of Fire? Android 17.
Hello there. Yeah, Ray, I've heard the speech on a couple occasions. It's ultimately what got him assassinated. It wasn't just some rogue citizen, who was starting to reveal some stuff and stating that he's going to reveal more, and they wouldn't have it. Inside job.
I'm sure that's a possibility. If you stop allowing to happen what's happening in the world, at least speak out about it, there's a possibility for that. And it's a sad thing, but it has happened to others, not just him. But how does this relate to our own lives? Situations within the family. And whatnot, stuff going on with our life, that's keeping us in a hole. Maybe it's a bad habit. Maybe it's, a person in our life that we really need to walk away from. It's just, really negative energy. This whole idea of we are allowing it, and so it's continuing. So, but when we stop allowing that situation to be, we make a change, we make a choice to do something different, whatever, then it can no longer continue because we've changed something. We've stopped allowing it.
Hey, Hope, did I meet you on here before? Or how do we meet? 'Cause I can't remember.
I don't know, Owen. It's just maybe a fortunate thing that I call a lot of people brother. So I just look at everybody as like a human family, you know. So probably haven't met. We might have. I don't know. But you just happen to be here in the Ring of Fire. I happen to be here. You got a bunch of other cool people here, good people. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the program.
10-4, buddy.
Yeah, if you Google who Malcolm Wallace was, he was a very important figure, I guess, working for LBJ. It's all come out. It's all come out because all these people are dead now, and yeah, it's come out, how it happened and who did it and everything.
Yeah, Hope, I might have a girlfriend again someday. I might have a girlfriend soon. One buddy that I hang out with, my friend I hang out with, she's a girl, and she's trying to look for a girl for me. So that's pretty cool, though, I think.
So yeah, Owen's being accountable to get himself a girlfriend by allowing his friend to find him a girl. Maybe in the past he wouldn't have accepted or allowed that, but now he is. So who knows? That could change for the better for him.
Hello.
Hey Mustang Sally, how you doing, girl? What's new and interesting with you, sister? We are in the middle of a program. Would love to have you jump in and share if you like. We're talking about personal accountability or personal responsibility. So, hope you're having a good night.
What up, Mustang Sally?
Can I add you?
I hope everybody's enjoying the fine weather. And tonight, for Tuesday, is what shows tonight on Tuesday on here?
Hope Wheels. Can I add you?
Yeah, we're doing a program called Our Healing Choices. If you ever take a look at the channel picture in the late afternoon, it'll usually display the program that's either coming up or that's in progress. And if you check the time, you'll know whether or not it's in progress.
Yep, we are talking about personal accountability. This whole idea of what we allow is what will continue. I don't know. It hits home for me a lot because there's a lot of stuff that happens in our lives, and in some cases our life is like not a broken record, but a looping record. The same thing tends to happen over and over and over again because we allow it. And then at some point we decide, you know what? I don't allow that anymore. I'm tired of doing this, that, or the other. So until we make a change, what we are allowing in our life to happen is going to continue to happen until we step in. Almost like there's two of us until we step in and make a change. It's pretty important stuff, I think, but that's just one aspect of personal accountability is like holding yourself accountable for where your life is going. You know, do you want the same as what's happening in your life right now for the rest of your life, or are you willing to not allow that to continue and to make a change, to make a different choice, to steer the ship in a different direction, to steer your ship in a different direction?
Hey, oh Gina, can I add you?
Hello, I am Sal Mustang. How you doing?
The rain stopped and everything's nice.
Yeah, it's always nice after the rain, for sure.
Oh, you got the rain from us. Yeah, I'm down south for you.
We had rain. That was rain. Oh, it seemed like a drizzle, and a night-long drizzle. Seemed like.
Really? You didn't get as much as, no, we got lots of rain. I mean, it was like for hours and hours with a, a small break in between.
Up north by the Oregon border, so yeah, we got a little bit, but it wasn't as much as I wanted. It's not like a southern state where you hear the lightning and thunder and the wind.
I'm Sal Mustang. Hey, Sal, how you been doing?
Well, we're doing a program right now. The topic is later, mingling, all that stuff later. If that's all right with you.
Does anyone else have any examples of where they had to be accountable, at work, kind of at home, whatever it might be, accountable or responsible, or how they showed others maybe how to be responsible? Does anyone have any trouble with or difficulty holding themselves accountable or being responsible? Maybe we can help.
Oh, I think we all try to get away with something small, maybe, whether it's just grabbing a cookie from the cookie area, when no one else is looking, when we're not supposed to eat that much sugar, we're trying to follow a diet and we're trying to hold ourselves accountable and we see a donut,
That's a good one. How do we hold ourselves accountable to what would you call that? Like, how do we hold ourselves accountable to what we want for ourselves? Like, that. How do we hold ourselves accountable to that? And does anyone have any tricks to doing that? That's important. That's a good one.
I think you constantly have to talk to yourself. That's the thing. You constantly have to try to program yourself. I guess it's a subconscious or whatever, but like good examples are like, when we once, there's all these flashy items like new iPhones and cars, and like the iPhone 7 Plus, if you want to get stuck in a contract for the whole year, you're like, oh man, I don't want to get stuck in a contract. Because when the new phone comes out, people want the new one and they don't want to be still in the contract. And if you pay up front, the iPhone 7 Plus, 256 gigabytes, like $1,100, and You know, and sometimes we mess up and, you know, we accidentally spend too much on some of this stuff. And we're like, well, wow, did we really have to spend that much? You know, or get a brand new car and be stuck in a car loan. And once you've signed, you're stuck, you know, for 5 years. So, you know, you got a $600 car payment, you know, and it just, you know, that's a perfect example of accountability. And you're like, well, who am I impressing anyway? You keep second guessing yourself. It just puts stress on you. You're trying to pay that loan off. It's just over your head. I mean, it sucks.
Like that's how do we hold to our morals, you know, hold ourselves accountable to our ethics, you know, who we want to be. That's a good one. Anyone else have any tips and tricks on how to hold ourselves accountable to our ethics, our what would you call that? I don't know, like our diet, our fitness routine, our whatever, you know. Like reading, sitting down to read something every day, whatever it might be, you know, how to hold ourselves accountable to ourselves is a pretty good one for sure. Anybody have any thoughts on that and how to do that?
That is probably the age-old question, you know, especially when no one else is doing it, you know, and the person's like, well, it's harder, you know, when no one else is doing it, it's harder to follow.
Yeah, like when you're trying to quit smoking and everybody else around you, all your friends are smokers, or when you're trying to quit drinking and everybody else is a drunk that you know, it makes it really hard for sure. It's not just you and your choice that you need to hold yourself accountable for, but like there's everybody else's influence on that, and you're like, damn, why are you gonna make this difficult?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Even when, you know, people like a neighborhood, everyone's trying to get the new car and the new phone, and you're going to tell yourself, no, I'm going to save money this time. I'm going to keep my car. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm going to keep my phone. There's nothing wrong with it. And I'm going to save money, you know, and then you see everyone else getting a new car and a new phone. And you're like, darn, 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 you know, you know, it's like, I don't want to be stuck in that payment, but you know, they get a chance to get a new car, and you know, and people give in and get it, you know, because everyone's judging them on their phone, their car, you know, when they show up to the furniture shop or somewhere, everybody's judging each other's clothes and character. That's really bad in California.
Yeah, I concur. It's definitely a little bit more difficult in California because everybody's so much more, I think, materialistic. But I guess it depends on who you talk to, what part of California. But in LA, I can say for sure it seems to be a lot about that. You know, keeping up with the Joneses, trying to impress others, trying to appease others, trying to be like Mike, trying to fit in. Else what? We're a rebel? Like what? You know, we're strange. You know, so what? You know, I think the most important thing is to just be you. You know, be uniquely you, and like f other people. Pardon my French.
Yeah, and I mean, the southern states, people are definitely like that. You know, they're just like, you know, who cares? You know, in a lot of places, and even in California, in the poor areas, people are like that. You know, but there's always what happens is someone says, you know, that when someone shows up and they've been working out and they got some arms on them, and then they got them a big old nice vehicle, you know, it's 30, 40, 50,000, you know, people tend to gravitate toward that person. And it doesn't even matter how they make their money. That's the thing. It's just, you know, they got that kind of money, you know, and everybody kind of gravitates towards it and sucks up to them, hoping they'll get something. And I'm like, wow, you know, what are we, like a bunch of, you know, dogs just barking for a cookie? You know, what are we here? You know, our morals are going out the window for materials. Perfect example. My brother-in-law, who's a real estate, really big real estate agent in Southern California, in the Valley, in the top like 7% real estate agents. And, they just got their son a convertible Mustang, and they work out and try to look big, and they play football and they coach football, and they even played Snoop Dogg's team, and their ego was so high, but then they lost so badly against Snoop Dogg's football team. And my sister's an amateur photographer, and his cameras cost so much more than hers, even though hers is like a $2,000 camera. When you're in a little poor community, and if you're a real estate and insurance, you look rich, but it kind of put her in her spot, when she's seen there's people out there with way more money than she's got, and she was, putting it all over Facebook, how she was kind of jealous of Snoop Dogg and, his fame, and kind of debating, if he deserves the money and all kinds of stuff, So it just shows you how people are, they're comparing themselves to each other, and there's big competition, big front, a lot of, they want the best technology. They're just flashing everything in front of everyone else, how smart they are, how strong they are, and they find out there's somebody out there bigger than them.
Yeah, unfortunately, we all tend to have it in us, to just be followers, fit in. And I guess it's just a human thing. Everybody wants to fit in, feel like they're relevant or part of something or whatever. It's in a way, it's kind of lonely doing your own thing, but the reality of it is doing your own thing gives you much more freedom than trying to be like Mike or throw your hair like Sally or whatever it might be, I don't know. It's sad, but there's so much more freedom and magic in doing your own thing, I think, than trying to copy others. We don't want to be a copy machine, copying others.
Right. And then I think what happens is when people see someone with all that money and success, they want to follow them. But all you're doing is giving that person more power, when you're doing that, because they're never going to let you get to their level. Not everybody. A lot of people are just going to compete with you, just like if you're playing a board game or somebody's got a faster race car, they're not going to give you the engine to compete with them. A true sportsman will, but in our society, most people, they would want to keep it secret from you how they got there and how they got what they got. And they just want to go, oh, look, I have much more than you,
So yeah, we got to kind of take responsibility for really where our life is at, where we're at, and what do we really want, and not be duped into, buying the best stuff and, having the best car, having the best phone, whatever it might be, just because others do, and that's definitely personal accountability right there. It's like, take responsibility for your life and your situation, knowing that it's not their life and their situation. You're in a different place, not trying to fake it. There's a lot of people out there, I'm guessing, that are faking it. And like, I don't know, I can be absolute certain on this, but there's a lot of people out there that have cars they can't afford, homes they can't afford, significant others. I chuckle, but yeah, significant others they can't afford, all kinds of things they can't afford, just trying to fit in with people who are that way. And my guess is that 9 out of 10 of those people are way in debt up to their eyeballs, and there's only 1 out of 10 that's actually wealthy. Crazy.
Another one that has fallen victim to the chemtrails.
Yeah, there's people out there, they might sell houses and insurance, and, they have high taxes, but yeah, they have a lot of credit cards, a lot of loans, and they're yeah, I mean, they really have a lot of debt. But don't try to move in their house thinking you're gonna, they're gonna help you, because they might just have you cleaning their house for free or something,
Maybe we could talk a little bit about the three fingers pointing back at us when we want to blame others. Maybe we can think about some time where we were blaming others, like it was all about them. They did it. They did this. And maybe look at the three fingers pointing back at us and see how did we contribute to this happening, where we're pointing the finger at someone else.
Right, like you get people who say that the reason why they don't have like more success or something, maybe the reason why they didn't go to college, they might blame their parents. Maybe their parents didn't have a lot of money, so they were like, I blame my parents because, they didn't have, the ability to raise me right or something. Or, yeah, people do that all the time. I hear that all the time. And then another person's like, well, why don't you just walk to McDonald's and go to work? Like, I don't want to work at McDonald's. Or, well, you got to do something. You can't just sit still, They're like, you need to get out there and work. You don't use an excuse that you don't have a vehicle and your parents are deadbeats. You got to get out there and do it, or you're never going to get anywhere,
My sister did that before. She blamed my mom for her not going to school. Oh, crap, my earring just came out. Oh, no. Oh, good, there's the back. Yeah, my mom said that my sister could stay at my mom's rent-free so that she can go to school. Well, my mom ended up charging her, and my sister had to work, and she could have gone to school at the same time while working, but she couldn't go to school, work, and party. And so it was a matter of priorities, and partying was more important than school. She could have done school and party, but, she couldn't do all three. And so she decided which two she could do. But she blamed it on my mom that she didn't go to school many, many, many years prior.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people do that. I guess they call that a cop-out, It's too hard for them, or it's too much work, and they're kind of lazy, so they just make something up. Yeah, unfortunately, that's, a big part of the big thing that people are doing. I think a lot of people are doing that.
Well said, both of you. It is Ray, right? I think I remember. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's me.
Cool, man. I haven't talked to you in a while, so yeah, just want to say it's good to hear from you, man.
What's up, everybody? I just got back on Zillow since Hurricane Matthew came through, so I don't know what's going on. I'll just go back to lurking, I guess.
Hey, welcome back to the Ring of Fire, Zuzu.
Welcome back, Zuzu. Hope everything's better now over there.
Yeah, same old, same old.
Well, welcome back to the Ring of Fire. Welcome to the program. We got a program going. Love to have your insights. It's the Our Healing Choices program, and we're talking about personal accountability or personal responsibility, however you want to look at it. Talking about the three fingers pointing back at us. You know what I mean by that, I'm guessing. If not, let me know.
Oh, I know a lot about that in personal accountability. I actually I'm actually very accountable for my things. I don't go and point fingers at my parents or my friends saying I didn't get to do this or that. I've gone out and I've done things saying I can do this. I've gotten certifications in that. I've done things to surpass my parents. I'm going to be the first one in my family to get a high school diploma, not a GED, and I'm going to be the first in my family to actually finish college in a 4-year degree. So I'm not going to point the fingers back at my parents saying that they're deadbeats or they're useless, douchebags that don't do anything or white trash. I'm going to go, no. My parents raised me right to go and surpass them. And I think a lot of people need to be accountable for that.
You just did.
That Rupert didn't hear you.
I was saying he just did point the finger at it. I called him.
Yeah, or surpass their parents whether they like it or not, you know.
Yeah, I guess, right? Yeah, it's that idea that like you're not going to point the finger at your parents for not taking care of you or not providing for you, not giving you enough money, not paying for you to get into a better college, or telling you you can't go to a certain college because they don't have enough money or whatever. And it is what it is. And like they said, it's like, look, if you're not willing to work even at McDonald's, then who are you to point the finger? It's on you, really. A lot of people don't want to look at that. They don't want to see that they need to take responsibility, and they can't just expect a handout. Just because their friends are getting into the really high dollar schools, and their friends' parents, can pay for them to go, to a foreign country to go to school or something.
Right. They see other kids in their school getting cars at early ages, so they got to get one. And like, oh my gosh, they had a Mustang. I got to get something. Is there any way you can get me anything as good or better than what they got? So I can really show off my stuff. And it's like, yeah, because if not, I'm going to be a 40-year-old virgin. Like in that movie Transformers. Remember, he's like, Dad, and his dad's like, oh, it's your first car, and he's like wanting something cool, and his dad's showing him all these dirty, these dumpy cars.
Yeah, true that, man. It's all connected. It's all connected, man.
I gotta say, and also another relation to the Transformers movie, with the whole thing of the whole getting a car at a young age and you gotta have something better, and a lot of has to do with smartphones nowadays. Like every single kid, the kids getting the newest and best smartphones, and all of everyone else wants the same thing or better. It's just all you can't expect everything to be handed to you. You gotta work yourself for what you want at some point or another.
Yeah, and it's pretty bad whenever one person who's got the best phone didn't get the phone because they worked for it. And sometimes it's not even because they their parents are rich. Sometimes they get it, let's say they live with their parents and they're in resource classes, and they get a whole $800 a month check. Maybe they, I know, but the other kids get mad because they're like, well, how did you get that? And and then they're like, well, now the debate these days is wasting taxpayer money. So that's a real big debate. But I tell them the bankers that are ripping off the money. The only reason why people have to be on government assistance a lot of times is because the factories moved out.
The spectrum's pretty broad, isn't it?
I agree. Cell phones are so much like cars. When I was in high school, I'm sure the car thing is still going on, where everybody's trying to get as good of a car as their friends or whatever. But I think it's weird. It's like, what we see on TV and what our parents are able to provide for us. We step into that. Like when we're born, we step into a family that's either really well off and can buy us anything, parents that are willing to buy us anything, and or parents that are not well off whatsoever, and tell us, the right thing is you should earn you need to earn a living. You need to earn what you want. You can't expect to be given things all your life, And so we step into different paradigms, and it's really, we have to literally adjust from a young age. We have to figure it all out. Like, why should that person get that kind of car and have the kinds of things that that person has, and why shouldn't I be able to have that? It means when we're young, we don't understand that. It's like, that's not, like, I don't get it. And so that's why we, kids like literally just go to their parents and they cry a freaking river. So, so their parents give them like the Air, the Jordans, the Air Nike, the like Jordans or whatever it might be, so that they can feel like they mean something or something. It's just sick almost. It's like a sickness.
Used to be the thing in the early days. I hear the 80s, and now it's kind of like, the person that's more popular is the person that's got the nicest car, the nicest phone, the nicest clothes. It's gone totally materialistic. It started out, like the basketball players, the nice shoes. Yep.
So this is all about holding ourselves accountable for our choices. Really. And if we want to change our life, that's one of the other thoughts I had, was like, this whole idea of taking responsibility and being accountable for the direction of our lives. Like, that's personal accountability. We can't expect mom and dad to give us a handout for like essentially the rest of our life. That's not cool. At some point, of course, we all have to come around to taking care of ourselves and buying ourselves the new car, or buying ourselves the new phone because we like it, not because everybody else has it, because we deserve it, or whatever it might be.
Right. Everybody wants to look like a movie star, and have a lot of money and a lot of materialism and success. And really, maybe we've gotten a bit shallow,
Well, I'm sure some of us have. The people that might have been given that most of our lives, and really don't have to work. Maybe have parents that don't encourage us to work. Basically tell us, son, you don't have to work. Ever. I would hope that a parent wouldn't say that to their child, but like, I'm sure there are some parents out there that say that, and like, you're gonna have X amount of money for the rest of your life. You don't have to work if you don't want to.
I get what you're saying, and I don't like that type of parenting style where they say, once you graduate high school or once you're of this age, you have so much money to live off of and you don't have to work. No, I come from a family that's not well off. And as you said, at one point you got to be responsible and buy your own things because you want them. I'm an uprising programmer in the world, and I wanted a new programming PC. So what did I do? I stuck around PC shops, and I fixed people's computers, and I volunteered for free, and I ended up getting money here and there, and I bought myself some computers. I bought myself some legacy hardware. I bought myself the newest programming PC back in 2012, and guess what? I now have a laptop that's capable of doing standard games nowadays and do standard programming. I have some legacy PCs lying around for old programming purposes, and I'm pretty well off, and I have a pretty good reputation around.
Yeah, I'm one of the ones that just got a bad hand dealt to them. It started from the get-go from just didn't really have a running chance. Very willing to do for myself and even help others out along the way, but something just kept in the way. It wasn't me. The accountability thing is kind of objectionable to me for some reason.
Well, I totally understand. When someone comes from parents, that are just workers, maybe at a factory. Maybe only one works and have a stay-at-home mom. They're not rich, and they live kind of in the country, and it's kind of hard to get to places. I mean, it's challenging. And then, the only opportunities that are really out there, is, Walmart and Target and all that kind of stuff, in certain towns. And yeah, I mean, even with a job, I mean, you're not living the ritzy life and you're working pretty hard,
Yeah, for sure, man. Was it Zuzu? Yeah, man. Like when you bought it yourself, not only that, but you're more proud of that. You take better care of those things that you buy yourself. Because you took accountability for your own life. You took your life in your own hands, essentially. No longer like a slave, essentially, to others and what they will or will not buy you or do for you. And so you have more pride in what you own, what you buy, at that point. So that's really cool. And Rupert, I don't know. I mean, yeah, you're dealt a bad hand, so to speak. But it really does come down to still being accountable for the direction you want your life to go. Maybe you have to do more work than the other guy. And the other guys get to hand out and you don't. And so maybe you got to do more work. But, if you want something, the only, between you and whatever you want is just action, taking action towards it straight up, So, yeah, you might have got dealt a bad hand, but, forgive and let go if you can. And then, gotta let go. We got to be able to forgive before we can move on a lot of times.
Hey, well, I gotta go, guys. See ya.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but for me, I have taken action. It's only got me further back. It's like you keep climbing the mountain, but you're just spinning wheels no matter what you do, no matter what you say, what your mind is, or your approach and angle on life. I'm just one of the ones. I don't know how many of them are out there like me, but I'm very adamant about having a good life and even really wanted a family, but I'm being held back in a lot of ways, man. So I don't know. Your guys' thoughts may be different because maybe you haven't been there for yourself, or maybe you guys have gotten a taste of it before, but you had just enough working in your favor. I don't believe in luck. That's pretty much been canceled out too in my life. But I've always been a go-getter. I've always been the type to grab the bull by the horns. But no matter which direction I go, I'm being pushed further back in the valley.
Well, I totally understand this, because, like I was saying before, the jobs available today, and the education's real expensive. So unless someone fixes it, but, you pay $30,000 for an education and you hope you took the right thing and it's not outdated by the time you're out of school, in that 4 or even 8 years for a master's that you need to do what you're trying to do. And then, you got to pay off all that debt, and I have friends that have like a family to raise or still living with their parents, but their college debt's holding them back, and they don't make that much money at their work, and they need experience before they can get the big job, and they feel like they're being used in internships, and yeah, it's a mess. It's a real mess.
I would pose the question or the thought. We're all like trying to get somewhere in life. We're trying to achieve a certain amount of like success or whatever it might be. But I think if we're focused too much on the goal or the prize or the destination, I think what we miss most of, and some people it's different, but we miss most of the journey. Because if we're not appreciating and being grateful for the journey, enjoying the journey itself, once we get to the destination, we're not dead yet. It's not like we get to the destination, then we can die. Oh, I'm good. I'm done. No, we're gonna have another destination and another and another. And so if we're not enjoying the journey, if we're so focused on the destination and we're not enjoying the journey, then we miss out on life. I mean, regardless of how bad life can be, I mean, there is love. I just saw this quote by God, what's his name? The guy that did Shawshank Redemption, the African American guy. Anyway, he said, God, what was it that he said? I'll get back to you on that one.
I totally agree, because if someone's too career based and they're spending all their day in a classroom and then their life in a cubicle, and yeah, you have a nice car, but if you got no time to enjoy anything, I mean, you kind of, it kind of feel cheated, and on the other hand, if you don't have, if you're enjoying everything but you're having a hard time with money, you might struggle and be living in a bad environment, like in a tent or something, so it's hard to find a balance sometimes. But yeah, you don't want to just focus on money only. Yeah, because that could lead to boring.
It was, the quote said something about like, there is love in the worst places on earth, meaning, even the worst places, the most despicable, like living situations that you could possibly imagine, there is still love there if you look for it. There is still hope if you look for it. Maybe you don't even have to look for it. Maybe your mind just has to be tuned in to hopeful things instead of focused on how you're not there and how you're have all this lack, and I'm not this, and I don't have this, and I can't this, and I think in that case most of it's probably in our mind. Yes, we see what we see. Yes, there are people suffering. Yes, we are suffering. Yes, it's hard as hell for us or me or whoever you are, but the reality of it is that there's a silver lining there, and I think it's in the way we look at what's in front of us, and are we grateful for the things that we do have? Because I think if you fall into gratitude for what you do have, you tend to take the focus away from all that you don't have, and you can actually be happy. There's some people that have nothing in some foreign countries and third world countries. They have nothing. Their family has nothing, but they're kicking a ball around. They're having a good time. They're doing their best they can to be happy. And I think, again, it comes back to those three fingers pointing back. We can blame other people all we want. We can continue to say that it's the other person that's why my situation is bad, but I think it's, again, that's coming back to the topic. It's like we're not taking accountability for what more can we do. I think when we let go of other people being to blame, and we start accepting the fact that where we are right now has something to do with what we allowed to happen, what we're allowing ourselves, how we're allowing ourselves to be. And so we can move on from there. First accepting, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. And people think that they have to have materialism and cars and phones to be happy. Some of the technology can help, like shelter and stuff to cook food, but I think people, they measure each other's success. Like, this person has way more vehicles and way more phones and, just nicer stuff than I do. And people they measure their success in the wrong way, I think.
Totally. Like, we're all measuring our sense of worth relative to someone else. And, no matter who you are, there's always going to be someone that has more than you. And if you're measuring your worth and your relevance as a human being to someone else, relative to someone else, I think you're doing yourself a huge disservice, like a huge disservice. It's like everyone has a unique, everyone is uniquely awesome. Like, we all have a unique personality that cannot even be touched by anybody else. We are uniquely awesome. And I think when we're trying to be someone else's awesome, it's like we're shooting ourselves in the foot. We're literally shooting ourselves in the foot, trying to be like Mike or trying to be like Sally or whoever the hell it is we're trying to compare ourselves to. We are totally doing ourselves a disservice. Be you, be okay with who you are and where you're at in life. And if no one else is okay with that, and then F them. I hate to say it, but like, screw them. All right, I'm just going to do a quick shout out. Looks like we got a lot of untrusted users here. If anybody wants to be a part of the Ring of Fire and jump into the channel here to chat with us, go ahead and look at the Zello logo in the upper left and click on the logo below that for the Ring of Fire. It might be the program description. Anyway, click on that. You read the rules for the Ring of Fire channel. Just go over that and then read back to me or the moderators here, since only we can hear you. Just mic back up and let us know a couple of the rules, so we know that you're willing to, and that we know that, so that we know that you're willing to follow the rules, and be happy to get you in quick and get you part of the conversation.
Oh yeah, and you know, people look at other people's families and other people's cars, and you know, they feel bad about what they're doing, and then they want to know how they can, you know, catch up, and they feel it's going to take too long to catch up, and yeah, I don't know, they just got us so competitive. You know, everybody's so competitive nowadays.
Yeah, I think it's hard to get out of the fog of what other people want for us and tune in and get rid of all the noise so that we can tune in to what we want for us. Like, what do we really want for us? That's not, that we know isn't tainted by someone else. Oh, why do I want that pickup truck? Oh, no. Is it because my buddy has one and I want to go off-roading with him? Or is it because I just want to have the capability to load my truck and, like, you know, with wood and not have to ask a friend and go bring it home and build something with it, a tree house or whatever it might be. Like, what do I really want the truck for? Just to really kind of tune into that, cut out the noise and tune into, what do I really want for me?
Right, yeah, because what's really tough is whenever you have a bunch of people around you who really, who really don't want to see you get better than them. You know, that's what's tough, you know. So you got to be careful what advice you take, and, you know, because it's kind of like in a card game when someone's telling you don't do that. You know, why would your opponent give you any good advice? You know. So yeah, that's a syndrome that's been in our, you know, that I've learned growing up. You know, and I'm like, wow, I wish people weren't like that. You know. You know, like I hear comments like at an office where they have a vending machine and the person's like, well, I calculated up what they're making anyway, and it's really not that much. You know, you hear comments like that.
Finally. Hello, world. What's up, friends and everybody? Um, Actually, I love this topic. Really. Thankful all of you talking about this topic. And actually, this is the best topic I ever heard, because it's really good for other people to know what we're talking about. And I wish to join you, or I can join you, so you know we can share our topics together. Anyways, nice to meet all of you.
So yeah, guys, I just trusted in Fly and Lima. Everybody, I'm trusting you guys. You didn't read the rules back to me, but I'm trusting that you care about this. Again, go back and read the rules when you get a chance, but we don't have a whole lot of time. I'm trusting you in and kind of on probation, but love you guys. Looking forward to hearing what you have to say about the topic. So everybody give a quick warm welcome to Lima and Fly. Welcome to the Ring of Fire. My name is Andrew. I'm from Los Angeles. I co-host this show once a week with you all.
Thank you. Nice to meet you guys. I live in Arizona, Tempe, and I moved here before 8 months, so my English is not that good, but I can understand well. And thank you so much for trusting me again to your channel.
Hi, Lama. Hi, everyone. Yeah, thanks for trusting me too, my friend. Look, dude, if there's a way so anybody can read the rules and let the moderators knows about it, I don't know if there's a way. Actually, I know this room for many time, but a long time ago. But I don't know if there's a way that I can read the rules and make everybody knows. I don't know. I'm not good at this app actually, but I already read it. I swear. I don't have any other. What is it? What to say? I forgot the word. Yeah, I don't have any proof. Anyways, nice to see all of you, and thanks for trusting us.
Pilot, hey, I don't know what you're wanting proof of, but you are trusted. I'm guessing you already said that you read the rules, understand, and agree to them. That's why Andrew trusted you in. If you haven't read the rules and you need to know what they are, just click the image below the V and scroll down.
So yeah, guys, welcome. So yeah, this whole idea of taking responsibility for our lives, anyone else have any thoughts on that? Is like, how do you take responsibility for your life and achieve your goals and make changes in your life and get yourself out of sticky situation. I mean, everybody's been in a situation that they probably found it really hard to get out of, and you're here now, right? So maybe we can share some stories on how we overcame those circumstances, because whatever we have today, someone told me this: do have what you believe, and what you do is what you eventually have. So if you reverse that, what you have right now is based on something you did and that all started with the belief you had that you could do it. So think about something you have in your life right now, whatever it might be. Maybe it's just a roof over your head, but think about it. How did you make that happen for yourself? You had to believe in yourself. You had to be responsible. You had to hold yourself accountable and stick to it or whatever. Maybe we can share those stories.
Well, I'm sorry to take the mic because everybody, I guess, some people are silent. So, uh, well, this actually nice topic to share, but I'm sorry, I'm not in the mood, but I will try to be in the mood. Because if anybody talk about this topic, sometimes I get in bad mood or something. I don't want to share much, but I was have really. I still have problems actually, but I solve it on my own. I don't trust anybody. I just do my stuff by my own, so nobody can say that after day, then he will be like, "Oh, I did that for you. I did this. Look what I made you." No, you have to trust yourself. So that's what I did. I'm not education actually. I'm not good at education. So I went out of my school because I have trouble. So I started to work when I was 14 or 13. Work as a mechanic first, then I work other stuff. So I still work anywhere and just good jobs. So I build my own, I buy my own stuff and I was so happy about it because, I'm like king of my family. Nobody took care of me. I took care of my own self. So now actually I'm trapped. I can't work. I have a trouble paperwork and all that. It's a long story. So I'm stuck in them, I'm stuck into my family. Like it's like I'm 23 years old, but if I'm living here with them, it's like I'm trapped. It's like I'm 5 years old. It's like I'm trying to take something from them, but I can't. But I don't want anything. But I feel shy. Long time I live with them without any work, without any. I can't work actually. If I can, I will not stay here. Because I have trouble with my family. So I made some success by my own self, but now I can't make anything because I'm trapped. So
Quick, Fly. I'm curious, like, how do you see yourself as trapped now? Because obviously you in the past you were able to get out, you were able to sustain yourself, you were able to be responsible, and I'm curious why you feel trapped now, and you didn't before. Maybe you can need to just remember how you did it. How did you do it before? You know. So anyway, I'm sure a lot of people can identify with this, being trapped in some way or another, feeling like you don't have any hope. There's no way out. There's no way to get ahead. But we forget how many times we've had that thought, and we did something that got us somewhere, where we were better off than where we were. So really, the fact is that yes, we can change our life. I mean, that's the reality. It's sometimes it's really difficult, and sometimes it's a little bit of luck, but we can change our life. We can shift. In fact, I have a something I was going to mention after the program tonight, and I might mention it a little sooner. But yeah, I have a project I'm working on that I'm going to be committing to now to help people do just this, to shift from where they are to where they want to be, regardless of the circumstances.
Um, in my opinion, I believe if I believe in myself and don't blame anyone in my life, so I can find the answer for all my problems. This is what I like. I know it by my experience, because when I work before, like as an architectural engineer, and I was only 21 when I just graduated from my college, then I remember that day the manager told me, you are not good enough to be like take this project and I mean to finish it from scratch. I told him I can do it, so just give me that chance and I will show you how can I do it. Then every day he just came to me and told me, you never do it, you can do it. Then I remember that day I just like drawing the project 16 times. That's like really hard for me. I never do it in my college even. Then he told me, is this your final project? I told him this is the final. And I work from 7 a.m. until 11 p.m. Walk in the site with 60 people, like all the workers and everything, and just show them how to do it until after 2 years I finished the project. And he told me, I don't know how you do it, but you're so good. I told him it's not about I'm good, it's about I'm believing in myself. If I just listen to you before and stop to practice or doing everything by my own, I will never achieve these things. So after that time, I really care about everything in my life. I do everything with my own. I did listen to the people who told me the negative things, even when I just.
So that statement basically, our past defines who we are, and our present does too. The circumstances, but end up just let you know the character that we are. So we deserve a nasty life, or we deserve a good life based on thoughts. But none of it's based on the actions of other people. That's strange.
Very well said, Lima. It sounds like you might have gotten cut off there a little bit, but it's true, Rupert. You know, and what I was thinking with Lima is what came up for me is this saying. It says, "Don't believe anyone who tells you you can't do something. You know, do it and prove them wrong. You know, they don't know you. They don't know what you're capable of. So, you know, be mindful of people who tell you they can't do that, you can't do it, because the reality of it is they're not telling you you can't do it because they know you can't do it. They're telling you you can't do it because they couldn't do it themselves. 9 times out of 10. They're not talking from experience. They're talking from, I could never do that. So why would I encourage you to do that? That's scary.
Uh-oh. And you guys, just so you know, my Wi-Fi kind of, it's in, I apologize ahead of time.
Yeah, or they say something to belittle someone in front of other people they're trying to impress, whether it may be a girl or a boss or something. You know, they'll be like, "Oh, what do you know? You know, you never worked that much in your life. You know, I'm 20 years older than you, you know."
But the irony of it is that we tend to believe people. If Lima believed her boss or whoever it was that she was asking, you know, to do the job, if she believed that person and allowed herself to not go the extra mile to prove to that person she could do it, if she believed that they told her, you can't do this, you're too inexperienced, you're too fresh, you're too new, whatever it might have been, she would have never done that. She would have never proved to herself or to the guy that she could do it. So the reality of it is that he didn't know. He didn't know whether she could do it or not. And no one can know. Only you can know that. And only you will know when you do it, when you take the action to make it happen.
Exactly. That's, yeah, I remember that day when he told me, you prove it to yourself, not to me. So now I can do anything because I believe in myself now. Any goal, if I put it in my head, I can just reach that goal and like be happy with the journey, like you know, not the destination. So this is what I learned from that days.
Well, you know, guys, that's what the worst thing. If it's about work or boss or any, if you want to do something, that's the worst thing. If you want to do something, okay, and you try to do it, you try how many times you try, you did everything to do this, okay, but in the end you can't, and you did everything to do it, but you can't. Something stuck about luck, about bad luck, or something stuck about not you, about the situation that you had, and you try to change it, you try to change it to be a good, to be whatever you want to be, whatever you want to jump to, but you can't. It's about maybe luck, sometimes about luck, sometimes about the situation that you had in your country or family or whatever, or in yourself, or maybe you're taking drugs or something, whatever. So this is the worst part. I'm the one. I believe in luck, actually, in luck and bad luck. But I'm the guy who has a bad luck. That's why every time I'm trying to make a movement, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, and always about bad luck. I really don't know what to do with this. Yeah, and you were asking me about. You're curious about me. I told him not education. You know, I'm shy to say this, but I have to say it. I get up from 6th grade. You know, I went out. I jumped out from 6th grade, maybe. I should be in a college before how many years ago, you know? There's people who goes in 6th grade now. They are 11 years old or 10. But I was like, 16. You know, too old for that. I should be in high school, but I couldn't. Problems, you know. Long story. So I went out. That's why, because I'm not good at math. So I went out, and they kicked me out actually. So I was trying to make a living, you know, here and there.
Yeah, man, it just comes down to just you gotta keep showing up, like straight up, man. You fall down, you wipe off the dust, and you get back up, and you show up. You just keep showing up. I mean, the most important thing you can ever do for yourself and for others is to show up. You know, when you know, crawl up in a ball in your room and you think that, you know, there's no hope or whatever, that's not helping you, that's not helping anybody else. But the idea of just showing up and not being attached to, like, you know, perfection, you know, because nobody's perfect, right? You know, just showing up, and you know, if progress eventually becomes something. You just got to keep making progress, you know, even if it's just progress in you, and you being a better person, or you being, you know, closer to you know, I don't know, you know, passing the test or whatever it might be for you. You know, it's just showing up, man. And you can be proud of just getting back up. If you can be proud of the smallest thing, like just getting back up, you know, that's fine. You know, it's not about what everybody else thinks. It's the fact that you got back up. Your life is your life, nobody else's. If you got back up, that's a huge thing for you. It doesn't matter whether anyone respects that or not, or pats you on the back or not. You did it for you.
In my opinion, it's not about education, or it's not about luck. I don't believe in luck, you know, because if you work hard, you can find, you can achieve the goal. It's about believe in yourself. Uh, I know some people don't have education, but they really proud of themselves. So you just need to listen to yourself. There's like a voice inside us every time, like guide us to go in the right direction. So you need to listen to that voice inside you, and whatever inside, it's come outside. So if you have a bad things inside, that means you have a bad thing outside too, because the reality is depend in your inner things, not just outside. I mean.
Yeah, you guys right. I know, but you know, man. Um, some people, no offense, some people it's easy for them to say just stand by your own and all that, but if that guy or that girl, she tells what her really problem, and it's really a big issue, she can't fix it. It's need a really big money or like big people who can do it. You know, I don't know. I can't explain. It's a long story, guys. I don't want to jump into because it's really hurt me. You know, I stay now. Maybe no, I'm not education. I know, but I worked. You know, I'm not education, but I didn't say, hey, you're not education. Just sit at home and take money from your family or steal or whatever. I didn't do that. I just, you know, step on my own feet, and I did what I did. But something happened. I just got stuck in my home. I can't work again. I will try, but it's not me. Yeah, I can work anytime, but I can't work again because paperwork and all that. It's about residence and all that, you know, visa stuff, residence, passport. It's all about this, you know. It's not easy to do it, you know, here, and every country has their own rules, you know. Anyways, yeah, you're right, dilemma. You're right. Yeah, I know. like I said, it's not. But I believe in bad luck actually, and I'm the guy who has a bad luck. I was gonna say something, but I forgot. Anyways,